Okay, so why am I doing this channel? End Sleep Apnea ASAP. Basically, I'm a dentist in the US. I suffer from sleep disorder breathing. I'm trying to find other people to collaborate with in the hopes of finding better diagnosis and treatment for sleep apnea. I believe it's very possible to find better diagnosis and very possible to find better treatments. And so I just need to find people. Please contact me if you think you can help. It's this full name of the channel at Gmail. This video content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice. There will be mistakes. I've tried to understand sleep apnea the best I can, but I'm sure there are definitely holes in my understanding. Okay, so I just wanted to do a couple of shout outs to other channels. I'm not trying to recreate anybody's channel with just kind of repurpose their content. I'll just point you to Dr. Stephen Park. I think he is one of the best that I know of. He understands sleep apnea better than anybody, and how it affects every aspect of the human, even their personality, their relationships. He even talks about in his book how it affects their job, like even the job that they might choose, and definitely would affect the performance in the job. So I highly recommend checking out his channel. He's awesome. I've talked to him personally. He has a great website. A lot of the stuff that I learned was from this drstephenpark.com. And I highly recommend his book on Amazon, Sleep Interrupted. It's just fantastic if you want to learn more about sleep disorder breathing. Another great, just phenomenal practitioner is Dr. Casey Lee. I guess you can't really see the website, but if you Google his name, he is amazing. I've talked to him, and he's one of the founders of sleep. He works at, basically, he's one of the founders of Finding Out Sleep Apnea. I just came across this website. I thought it was interesting. This guy, he just talks about his sleep apnea journal. I recommend it for sure. And specifically his interview with Dr. Zoggy. Anyway, Dr. Zoggy, if you get on his channel and search for, they talk a bit about the difference between upper airway resistance and sleep apnea, which I found to be very helpful. And here's it, especially anyone who's in Australia. This is an oral surgeon that really is awesome. This is his name. I'm not sure how to pronounce it exactly, but he's in Australia. And if you search for his website, his YouTube channel, he is really good at what he does. And so I thought we'd start with the tongue because it's the most problematic. It's heavy. It's not really susceptible. I think the medical community will try to convince you that the CPAP is just an instant cure for the tongue. In my case, nothing could be further from the truth. I believe there's a lot of evidence that the CPAP does not work well on the tongue. And since the tongue is the main problem in sleep apnea, to say that the CPAP is just a cure-all for everybody is just not true, in my opinion. I do think the CPAP has its use, but it's mostly for the soft palate. So the tongue's the main problem, and the solutions that we've been pitched are myofunctional therapy. I am not anti-myofunctional therapy, especially I think it can be helpful in kids, but for adults, not as helpful. I'm not sure how it really helps. It could help in light sleep for sure, because you still have some muscle tone, if you're trying to ramp. So basically myofunctional therapy, you're just trying to keep that tongue up there on the spot. You can Google more about it if you don't know anything about myofunctional therapy. I tried it myself. I tried it for a long time, probably a year. I saw zero results, no benefit whatsoever. Now, maybe if somebody else's bone is softer than mine, you could possibly push that upper jaw forward with your tongue, even as an adult, but I did not see any results. It would be more beneficial for kids, I believe, because you could push those jaws forward a little bit and create a bigger airway. I don't see how myofunctional therapy can help, especially in REM sleep when our voluntary muscles are paralyzed. So if you tried to raise your hand all night, when you got to, it would fall down when you fell asleep. But especially when you got to REM sleep, there's no way you're going to keep your hand up all the way through REM sleep. And same thing with the tongue. Even if you get really good at ramming that tongue up against the spot, it's not going to work in REM sleep. Someone who's predisposed to sleep apnea and has basically no muscle tone during REM sleep, it's not going to work. It didn't work for me. CPAP did not work on my tongue. I know it didn't. I think sleeping on your stomach, especially like completely face down, I might talk about that more in another video, but that seems to be super helpful for me. You could try it on you. Another thing that I believe was helpful is this. If you Google like tongue retainer, it might help. You might find it, but it also basically, if you use it every day, it will tend to move your teeth because your tongue is pushing against your teeth. So I don't really recommend it, but you could try it for kind of just a test to see if it helps. But a long-term solution, it will move your teeth. I guess maybe if you used a retainer during the day to kind of counteract the movements, but I don't know, it might damage your teeth, just the movement, kind of the pressure forward and then the pressure backwards during the day if you're trying to counteract it with the retainer. I did use it on myself. It did move my teeth. I do feel like it was helpful. I used it in combination with the CPAP. Anyway, that was the only way it helped. I tried it alone. It didn't help me because I have tongue and soft palate issues. Also, there's this Good Morning solution, kind of similar. I feel like, let me scroll down. I feel like it wasn't as helpful because I feel like it doesn't get the tongue as far out. Anyway, you can see that blue thing right here on the left side. That's basically what it looks like. You can find cheaper ones on AliExpress. I found cheaper ones on AliExpress that were basically like this. $99, that's a lot for a little piece of plastic. And then mandibular advancement devices or oral appliance therapy. So basically it's just pulling the jaw forward and the tongue is connected to the lower jaw. So if the lower jaw moves forward, then it's going to tend to put pressure on the tongue and help sleep apnea. And then, okay, so I'm going to, let me see if I can finish this. And I use this sleep apnea device. It's called, this is just an example of a mandibular advancement device.